Chapter 23, The Season of Gold Autumn. As the weeks passed, the air began to change. It was no longer hot and sticky. It felt crisp and cool like a fresh apple. Tommy noticed that the garden was changing its clothes. The painted leaves of the big oak tree, which used to be bright green, was now turning yellow and orange. Some leaves were even deep red. "Look, Mommy, the trees are on fire," Tommy said, pointing at the glowing branches. "Not fire, Tommy," Mommy laughed. "The trees are getting ready for a long sleep. They are showing us their most beautiful colors before they go to bed." One leaf drifted down, spinning like a tiny helicopter. Flip, flop, flip. It landed right on Tommy's nose. It was dry and felt like paper. Tommy looked up, and a big gust of wind shook the branches. Hundreds of leaves fell at once. It was raining gold. The crunch crunch game. Tommy ran into a big pile of leaves that his daddy had raked together. Crunch, crackle, snap. Every step he took made a loud, happy noise. Pepper the puppy joined in, burying his nose in the brown leaves. Only his little white tail was sticking out, wagging like a flag. Tommy learned that even when things fall down, they can still be fun. The leaves would turn into soil and help the garden grow next year. Chapter 24. The busy harvest. The garden was very busy in the autumn. Everyone was gathering food for the cold days ahead. The squirrel's pantry. Sammy, the squirrel, was running faster than ever. He had a big acorn in his mouth. He ran to the base of the oak tree and started digging a hole with his tiny paws. Scratch, scratch, scratch. He put the acorn inside and covered it with dirt. Then he patted the ground flat so no one would find his treasure. "Are you saving a snack for later, Sammy?" Tommy asked. Sammy twitched his ears and zoomed away to find another nut. Tommy realized that the garden animals were like little shoppers, filling their pantries before the snow came. The migration mystery. Tommy looked up and saw a long line of birds flying in the shape of a big letter V. "Where are they going?" he asked. "They are flying south to the warm places," Daddy explained. "They follow the sun so they don't get too cold." Tommy waved his hand. "Goodbye, birds. See you in the spring." He felt a little sad to see them go, but he knew they were going on a grand adventure of their own. Chapter 25. The First White Blanket. Winter. One morning, Tommy woke up and the world was quiet. Very, very quiet. He looked out the window and gasped. The world of white. Everything was white. The grass, the trees, the garden gate, and even the old watering can were covered in a thick, fluffy blanket of snow. "Blanket of snow. The garden is wearing pajamas," Tommy shouted. He went outside with his heavy coat and thick mittens. The snow felt cold and crunchy. When he breathed out, he saw a little cloud of white mist. "Look, I am a dragon. I am breathing smoke." The sleeping flowers. Tommy went to the place where the roses and tulips lived. They were gone. There were no flowers, just white mounds of snow. "Are they okay, Mommy?" he asked worriedly. Mommy knelt down and brushed away a little snow to show the dark earth. "They are fine, Tommy. They are sleeping deep underground where it is warm. They are dreaming of the sun. When the snow melts, they will wake up and say hello." Tommy liked the idea of a sleeping garden. It was resting so it could be strong for the next year. Chapter 26. The Frozen Pond. Tommy walked to the pond. It didn't look like water anymore. It looked like a big, flat piece of gray glass. The hidden fish. Where is the goldfish? Where is the frog? He peered through the ice. It was hard to see, but deep down at the bottom, he saw the goldfish moving very, very slowly. "The ice is like a roof," Daddy said. "It keeps the wind away from the fish. They stay at the bottom where the water doesn't freeze." Tommy tapped the ice gently with his mitten. "Thump, thump. Stay warm, little fish," he whispered. He learned that even when things look frozen and still, life is happening underneath. Chapter 27. The Return of the Green Spring. After a long, white winter, the snow began to turn into puddles. The air smelled wet and fresh again. The brave little flower. One afternoon, Tommy saw a tiny green spike poking through the melting snow. It was a snowdrop flower. It was small and white, shaped like a little bell. "You're awake," Tommy cheered. It was the first sign of spring. Soon, more green spikes appeared. The tulips poked their heads out. The grass turned bright green again, as if it had been painted overnight. The robin's new song. The birds came back. Tommy heard the chirp chirp cheer of the robin. It was the same robin from last year, looking for a place to build a new nest. The garden was waking up. The cycle was starting all over again. Tommy was now 6 years old, but he was still the king of his garden kingdom. Chapter 28. The Circle of Life. Tommy sat on the porch swing, watching a new butterfly emerge from its chrysalis. He looked at the tall oak tree, the busy ants, and the blooming roses. He understood now that the world is always moving. The sun moves across the sky. The seasons turn from gold to white to green. The animals grow and learn. And Tommy grows too. He felt very lucky to live in a world with so many secrets. With so many secrets, he knew that no matter how big he grew, there would always be a small wonder waiting for him if he just stopped to look. "Thank you, garden," Tommy said softly. And the garden, with its rustling leaves and singing birds, seemed to whisper back, "You're welcome, Tommy." Chapter 29. Tommy's Guide to Garden Friends. Now that Tommy had seen the garden through all the seasons, he wanted to remember everything he had learned. He sat down at his little wooden desk and decided to make a guide to garden friends. This would be his way of sharing the magic with everyone. Friend number 1, the brave bee. Bees are not scary, Tommy wrote in his mind. They are like little flying fuzzy bears. He learned that bees love the color blue and yellow. They visit the flowers to get sweet juice. While they drink, they get yellow dust on their legs. When they fly to the next flower, they drop the dust. This helps the garden make new seeds. Without the bees, Tommy thought, we would have no apples or strawberries. Thank you, little bees. Friend number 2, the earthworm. Tommy remembered the long pink worms he saw after the rain. Worms are the garden's diggers, he noted. They live under the dirt where it is cool and dark. They eat old leaves and turn them into rich black soil. Tommy liked how they made tunnels. The tunnels let the plant roots breathe air. Even if they are wiggly and slimy, they are the garden's best helpers. Chapter 30. The language of flowers. Tommy wanted to describe the flowers in his guide too. He realized that every flower has a different personality. The sunny sunflowers are the giants of the garden. Tommy loved how they actually move. In the morning, they face the east to see the sun rise. In the evening, they turn their big yellow faces to the west to watch the sun go down. They are sun followers, Tommy whispered. They have big hearts full of seeds that the birds love to eat in the winter. The gentle lavender. Lavender is the flower of peace. Whenever Tommy felt too excited or a little bit sad, he would go to the lavender bush. He would rub the tiny purple buds and smell his fingers. It smells like a hug, he thought. It makes the bees happy and helps Tommy fall asleep at night. Chapter 31. The mystery of the clouds. Sometimes, Tommy's around the world exploration meant looking up instead of down. Sky shapes. Tommy lay on his back in the middle of the grass. The sky was a big blue ocean. The clouds were like white ships sailing across it. That one looks like a dragon, Tommy pointed, and that one looks like a giant bowl of popcorn. He watched the clouds change shapes. A dragon turned into a dog. A mountain turned into a feather. Oh, a feather. Tommy learned that the world is always changing, even when we think it is standing still. The clouds also told him secrets. When they were white and fluffy, it was a day for play. When they were gray and heavy, it was a day for reading books inside. Chapter 32. The tiny world in a bucket. One afternoon, Tommy found an old plastic bucket filled with rainwater and some leaves. Most people would see a mess, but Tommy saw a tiny universe. The water strider on top of the water, a very thin bug with long legs, was walking. It didn't sink. It stayed on top of the water like it was walking on a trampoline. You are a water walker, Tommy said in awe. He learned that the water has a skin that is strong enough to hold a tiny bug. The mosquito larvae deep in the bucket, he saw tiny things wiggling up and down. They were very small, like pieces of thread. Everything, even a bucket of old water, was a home for someone. Tommy decided to pour the water out near the trees so the bugs could find a bigger home and the tree could have a drink. Chapter 33. The garden at night. A closer look. Tommy asked his daddy if they could go on a night safari with a flashlight. Flashlight adventure. The garden looked completely different in the beam of the light. The shadows were long and spooky, but Tommy wasn't afraid. He saw a moth landing on a leaf. Unlike butterflies, moths have fuzzy bodies and love the moonlight. Their wings looked like soft velvet. Then the flashlight hit a pair of glowing eyes near the fence. Blink, blink. Is it a monster? Tommy whispered. No, Daddy smiled. It's a raccoon. The raccoon had a black mask around its eyes and a striped tail. It was looking for fallen apples. He looks like a little robber, Tommy giggled. He learned that while he was sleeping, the garden was full of furry friends having a party. Chapter 34. The lesson of the oak tree. Tommy went to his favorite spot under the old oak tree. He put his arms around the trunk. It was so big he couldn't reach all the way around. Growing strong, how did you get so big? Tommy asked the tree. He imagined the tree many years ago. It started as a tiny acorn, no bigger than Tommy's thumb. It had to survive the wind, the snow, and the hot sun. It grew slowly, 1 inch at a time, year after year. Tommy realized that he was just like the tree. He was small now, but he was eating good food, drinking water, and learning new things every day. One day, I will be tall too, Tommy said, but I will always remember being small. Chapter 35. The never-ending story. Tommy closed his guide to garden friends. He realized that his journey wasn't over. SN over. A 5-year-old's world is never finished being explored. Every time he went outside, there was a new leaf, a new bug, or a new sound. The world was like a giant book with millions of pages, and he had only read the first few. A message for the world. If Tommy could tell everyone one thing, he would say, look down at the grass, look up at the sky, say hello to the cat, don't step on the ants. Everything is alive and everything has a story. Tommy took Pepper's leash and called for Barnaby the cat. The sun was shining and the garden gate was open. Come on, friends, Tommy said with a big smile. There is so much more to see. And so, Tommy's big world of small wonders continued, one happy step at a time.